So welcome, everybody. Good afternoon. I'm Lisa Gold, the Executive Director of A4. Quick accessibility check. I am a Hapa, half Korean, half white woman with brownish, grayish shoulder chin length hair in a blurred background. I am speaking to you from unceded Lenape Canarsie lands. And I am so excited that you are here with us today and that you are interested in the Jadin Wong Fellowship in dance. I'm going to go through the agenda today. So very briefly, we'll talk about the context of the fellowship, what it consists of, what the eligibility requirements are, the application. We will go through that in detail, the selection criteria, the overall timeline for the program, and we will answer your questions. So this is really to give you the information that you need to fill out a successful application. So feel free, you can ask questions while I'm speaking, or you can wait until the end, or you can drop questions in the chat. We're open to all of it because this is for you. Okay, let's get started. For those of you who are not familiar with A4, we are a 40-year-old nonprofit organization dedicated to ensuring greater representation, equity, and opportunities for Asian American artists and cultural organizations through resource sharing, promotion, and community building. And this fellowship is one of the ways that we do this by supporting artists, by connecting them to people who can make a difference in their careers, and by advocating for greater representation in the field of dance. So the fellowship itself is named after Jadin Wong, and it is for an emerging dancer choreographer who seeks to make an impact on the Asian community and for the development of new or creation, for the development of new work or existing work, pursuing existing work. Just an FYI, this fellowship is funded through the New York Community Trust, through the Jadin Wong Educational Fund. We do not set the age requirements. That is something that comes through the New York Community Trust, and we are not able to change that. So in case anybody was inquiring as to why you have to be 30 years of under, but we'll get to that later. The award itself comprises an 8-month fellowship period, $6,000 in an unrestricted cash award. You can use this for anything you want, for food, for rehearsal space, to pay other dance artists, your rent, whatever. It's to enable you to work on your discipline. That's what it's for. We offer a career coach. We offer support of an artistic mentor, and we offer a showcase opportunity for you to present your work. Next slide. Oh, sorry, let's go back, sorry. I'm just gonna talk, so the fellowship starts and it runs for an 8-month cycle, but you are kind of in control of how the fellowship works. So we like to set it up so that you have a period of career coaching. We also set you up with somebody who is familiar with the dance field, who can offer you guidance in making the most of this fellowship and directing your practice in a way that will advance your goals and help you assess what those goals are. So we like to set that as the first stage of the fellowship. And then the second phase is the artistic mentorship, where you can identify somebody that you feel you would benefit from working with. We will try to connect you with that person. We can also make recommendations for someone, but that is also, you have a lot of leeway in identifying who these people are, whether or not you want to take A4's recommendations or you feel more comfortable selecting your own coach and mentor. We're very flexible in that way. And then in terms of the presentation of your work, we, in the past, over the past 2 years, have worked with the APAP conference, the Association of Performing Arts Professionals, to present an AAPI dance showcase where your work is featured in a showcase presentation where you have complete control and you have the support of a tech, sound, lighting, professional promoters, and it is a professional staging of your work in front of an audience of dance lovers, bookers, and people who can really make a difference in your career. If you choose to participate in that showcase, that's great. You don't have to. You can choose an alternate presentation, but we think it's a very fulfilling opportunity. So that's those are the components in a nutshell. We can move on to the next step. So the fellowship is an online application via JOT form. If you have, we'll go through that later, the very specific steps required. And the process, all of the applications are reviewed by a diverse panel that has extensive experience in dance. We can guarantee that. Going back to the fellowship, as I noted, the career coaching, we like that to take place first around when the fellowship starts, so that, again, you can make the most of the fellowship and set up this period to really work for you. The artistic mentorship will start a little bit later. Again, it's up to you, but we recommend starting a little bit later in the process after you've identified your goals and created a plan for how you want to use the fellowship. And then we offer the opportunity for a public presentation, and that can take a lot of different forms. During COVID, one of our Jadin Wong fellows, because he couldn't actually present the work in person, we did an online presentation where he invited people to make chai, because hospitality was an important part of his piece. So we had a chai making session and a discussion between me and the fellow, and then he presented an excerpt from his work. And because if we weren't in COVID, he would have invited people into his studio and welcomed them with cups of chai. We sent out chai making kits to people who RSVP'd, and so they could make it along at home and experience the hospitality that they would have experienced had it taken place in person. So we encourage you to be creative with your program. And so we will work with you on how to present that. Okay, next slide. Okay, eligibility. So these are the key components to determining whether or not you are able to apply for this, or whether or not you will be eligible. So the first thing is an emerging or early career artist. You must be Asian American, of Asian descent, a dancer and a choreographer, and you should exhibit outstanding promise with the desire to continue within the field and give back to other artists. So next slide, talking about heritage. So this is self-identified. You have to be of Asian heritage. How you choose to identify is up to you. We're very, very open in this. You must be 30 years of age or younger at the time the fellowship begins. As I noted, we don't have a lot of flexibility in that. We've extended it as much as we can. So that is the kind of early stage career as it is defined. We are requesting that you are not currently enrolled as a full-time or part-time student in a degree granting program during the fellowship. This is really an opportunity for people who are, some that are in the early stages of their career, who are looking for additional support that they can't get while they are in a degree granting program. I think the resources that are available to students are something that should be taken advantage of while you're in school, but this program is really for people who don't have access to that, who may not have access to space or tutelage, mentorship, things like that. The next one, you have to be a resident of New York City. We will ask you to prove residency. There's a lot of flexibility in how you can do that through a lease agreement, a utility bill, or something like that, driver's license, but you must reside in one of the 5 boroughs of New York City. And you have to be living in the US and primarily based in New York City during the fellowship period. We know that a lot of people have or did leave during the pandemic and maybe working remotely or living remotely. But we really appreciate people who are in the city who can take advantage of the offerings that are available, the kinship fellowship part of it, attending other events, and really taking advantage of what New York City has to offer. And finally, you can be a US citizen, you can be a permanent resident, you can be a resident. Anybody that has an ITIN or an SSN, we just need a number to be able to pay you, because we have to file information with the IRS. So that's all that we ask, that we can do that legally. So the application, there are 5 major components. Actually, the headshot and work samples, maybe not such a major component, but there are narrative questions. We ask for a letter of reference, your resume, a headshot, and samples of your work. So we can break that down. In the narrative, we ask for you to offer an artistic statement that describes your unique artistic approach to performance and choreography. This should be straightforward language that anyone can understand, that somebody can really get what makes you and your work unique. I think that's kind of simple. We would like you, if possible, not required, to offer a statement that describes any influences on your work or legacies or experiences that you bring to your work to give it greater context. So again, not required, but is helpful to reviewers, especially if you are working in maybe modernizing a traditional dance form that some reviewers may not have familiarity with. So by contextualizing it, it can make your work or your work sample a little clearer. Professional growth. So we want to understand where you are in your career, and we want to understand how this particular fellowship is going to help you. So, we say this is for an emerging professional. So, this is really to help you get to the next step, right? To offer you a little space, to offer you the guidance, the room, connections, to help you move your career in the direction that you choose. So understanding where you are and what you need, what you've learned, that proves to the panelists that you understand how this fellowship can help, that you will get the most out of it, and that you will grow from it. We would like a statement that describes your goals and how this fellowship will help you achieve those goals. So having an understanding of where you are, and then understanding how this fellowship can help you. Just to have that clarity as to why you should have this fellowship above everybody else. This will help the panelists make that decision. And then tell us what you're working on. Tell us how this fellowship is going to advance your work. What is the work that you want to develop? Why is it unique and valuable? What does it bring to you in your career? So describing what you are working on or what you hope to accomplish through this application will also help the panelists get a better understanding of you, your practice, and what you would bring as a Jadin Wong Fellow. Next, community impact. So, this fellowship isn't just for an excellent dancer choreographer. This fellowship is also for somebody who is looking to impact the AAPI community through your work by either representing Asian Americans or giving back to the community. We all know that there aren't very many fellowships like this. There aren't that many opportunities specifically for AAPI dancers. And so, how does this fellowship, how would you reflect on that? And using your position, how would you like to impact the community? What would you like to change? What kinds of things would you like to affect through your role as a Jadin Wong Fellow? That's what we're kind of looking for. Next. And then the fellowship benefits. Just tell us how you want to use the grant. There's no judgment. Like I said, if you want to buy $6,000 worth of pokey sticks, that's totally fine. We want to know what you're going to do with it. If you want to pay your rent, that's totally legitimate. If you want to pay off your student loan, anything, we just want to get a sense of how this grant is really going to help you. That's all. Okay, these are hopefully easy components of the application. A letter of reference. So we are looking for a letter from somebody who is familiar with your work. We're not looking for a letter from the director of the New York City Ballet, if you're, a ballet artist. We're looking for somebody who, unless you are, but you probably wouldn't be getting a letter from them if you were applying for an emerging fellowship. We want somebody who really understands you in your work and understands how you could benefit from this and thinks that you are a good candidate for the fellowship. So it's not about the status of the reference professional. It's really about what light they can shed on you, how you're going to benefit, that's going to help the reviewers that, believe it or not, they read those letters and they do go a long way. We would like a resume and a headshot. So resume just stating your accomplishments, the works that you've done as a dancer, as a choreographer, and a headshot that we can use should you be selected, that we could use in announcements, and a resume also that we would draw from for a press release, but also just to give a better understanding to the panelists of where you are in your career. Okay, next. Okay, the work samples. There's usually a lot of questions around work samples. So we are asking for three samples that are relatively recent, within the past 4 years, that clearly demonstrate your performance and choreography. So we would like one sample of you performing, one sample of your choreography. You can be dancing this as well. We are requesting 2 separate pieces though, or 3 total samples, so that we can get a better view of your dance ability and style as a whole. And then an additional performance and or choreography sample. So a total of 3 different video samples, no more than 4 minutes in length total. If you send us a video that is 12 minutes long, the panelists can't watch all 12 minutes of it. So just think about all of the number of applications and the number of samples that they have to review. And so that's why we try to keep it to no more than 4 minutes each. So if you do send a longer sample, please indicate the very specific time range. If you can cut the sample to 4 minutes, that would be even better. But if you don't have the ability to edit it, then just tell us the time range that you would like us or the panelists to review. And if you're sample is 4 minutes or less, you don't have to include a timestamp, just write complete and they will watch the entire video. Very, very important, if you have a password protected video link that you're sharing, make sure that you send us the link so that they can access it. Very, very important. And then another thing that's very, very key, if you are performing and if you're performing in a piece that you choreographed, or if you're just performing in a piece and you want people to see that piece and it's a group work, make sure we know which person is you. It's very hard for panelists to try to guess if they don't understand. So just, it's me in the red, whatever. Just make it very, very clear if it's a group work, who the panelists should be focusing on, as well as, you know, the overall piece. I hope that's clear. Next. Okay, we're going to go through the actual application. This is what it looks like when you get into JotForm. So your full name, first name, last name. If you have multiple names, you can, your surname, you could put that in the last name. If however you want to be identified, if it's, you know, surname first, that's fine. It'll be clear to us on your resume as well. So those should match up. Your pronouns, your date of birth, which we will ask you to show us proof of should you be selected, your email address, a phone number where we can reach you, and your address within New York City. Indicate your borough and your demographic information. So this is helpful to us. You do not have to share your gender identity or your sexual identity, but we do want to know whether or not you identify as a person with a disability, and we do want to know how you identify yourself ethnically. So please share your ethnicity. Next. Okay, the supplementary information. We would like your website, if you have that information, your social media, Instagram, any video, if you have a Vimeo or YouTube channel, and if you have any other handles, like, I don't know, perhaps you have a TikTok or Twitter that you would like to share. So that's that. The headshot, yes, so you can upload a JPEG. Justine, I don't know, what is there, like a file size requirement maximum on the headshot size?
There might be. I think it might be. I have to look into it, but I think we, you know, most things will probably be okay.
Yeah.
I can double check on that though.
Yeah. So if anybody has problems or questions, let us know. You know, normally like a 300 DPI file will be fine. We're looking for a resume and a CV. Ideally, that will be uploaded as a PDF. So the formatting stays the same when we all read it, and the letter of recommendation. Also, we'd appreciate that as a PDF. So it should be pretty simple. It doesn't have to be super elaborate. I think that is clear. And then the narrative questions. So these are the questions that we talked about. There are character limits on these fields, and you will be warned if you go over the character fields. You will not be allowed to submit if your entry is over the character limit. So again, your artistic statement, it's optional to describe any kind of influences or contextual information about the historic or cultural nature of your work. Professional growth, these are the questions, you know, why do you want this fellowship? Where are you in your career? How are you going to benefit from it? What are your goals? What do you hope to accomplish through this? How is it going to help you? And then the work that you're making. What is the work that you're making? Is it different, unique? What is the project? Have you already started it? Is it something that you've always wanted to do? with the help of this fellowship that will help you execute it or help you complete it. So just let us know. And then again, tell us how you hope to impact the community. You know, like I had stated in the beginning, this fellowship is named after Jadin Wong, who left a legacy that I think is under-recognized by the community. She was just a gutsy person. She was a dancer, performer. She started a talent agency, and she represented almost every Asian American in the 70s and 80s and the 80s, from Lucy Liu to Lou Diamond Phillips to all sorts of people. I mean, she really cared about the community, and we really want this artist, you know, to help you know, cement that legacy of Jadin Wong. And we hope that this artist will continue to give back to the community. Next slide. So the fellowship package, again, just tell us what you'd like to use the cash award for. And I said, you can don't worry about telling us some kind of super lofty or altruistic thing. This is really how it's going to help you in reality. That's what we want to know. Next slide. Okay, the work samples. So you can, you know, tell us what the work samples are. You should be able to paste URLs in here. We are not looking for you to specifically attach the files, but just to give us the links and make sure that the links work. Don't omit characters. Please, please, please check if there is a password. Have somebody else check just to make sure before you submit these, make sure that all of the links work. And then provide a little bit of context, especially if it's group work, so people understand, why are you showing this? Is this a piece that you choreographed? Is this a piece that you feel like really demonstrates your work as a dancer? Like, let us know why you've selected that piece and what we should be looking for. I think hopefully those are clear. So the first one is you as a performer. The second one is you as a choreographer. And the third one is your choice. Could be either or both. So the deadline for this is 11:59 p.m. Monday, March 20th. Do not wait until the last minute. We will be in the office on Monday to answer questions, but be sure you start earlier, because you may start at 11 o'clock and it may take you longer. You may have trouble, your internet may be slow or something, and the deadline may close or the application may close while you're uploading it. So please start early. We will not extend the deadline for this beyond 11:59 on Monday, March 20th. Next. Okay. How are we going to choose? It's always hard, right? So like I said, we have a panel of 5 experts in different fields of dance in different areas, and they will be making the decisions based on these criteria. Justine and I do not make the decision. So they will be evaluating your submission based on the artistic merit. Do you demonstrate technical skill in your chosen style? Do you show through your work samples that you are, you know, very good at choreography? Are you skilled as a performer, as a dancer? Are you, you know, make sure that the samples are clear. If you are, especially if you are, you know, focusing on your work as a choreographer, make sure that people can see the whole performance, not just, you know, a specific gesture, or, you know, that it's in the dark or things like that. Make sure that it's clear that you are demonstrating how skilled you are. And then just, you know, making sure that your statements actually match with where you are in your career and what you hope to accomplish. So, you know, if you are you're, relatively new choreographer, you've been dancing for a while and you want to choreograph, some massive production with, 70 dancers, maybe that is out of whack a little bit with where you are. So just make sure that you are clear in terms of your vision and your approach, and that everything matches up in your narrative and your work samples. If you've already done work with 70 dancers and you demonstrate that in your work sample and that's what you want to choreograph, then that's fine. But just make sure that there's alignment there. So the development of new or existing work. So, it doesn't have to be a new work. If you are creating a new work, what is unique about it? How is this going to get you to the next step in your career? Same thing with an existing work. If you want to continue something that you've been working on for a year, 6 years, that's fine. Just, let us know, like, is this going to help you finally complete this work, or is it going to take it to another level of excellence? Just share that information. The community impact, again, we talked about this, that, we hope to give back to the community. We hope that you will give back to the community. And we just want to know, how do you plan to do this? Have you done this in the past? Have you, supported other artists, dancers? What is, how do you plan to continue working in the field as a leader, as a model, as an example? And potential for growth. So again, we understand that, as this is an award that is made available, an opportunity that is for an emerging artist, we assume that this is going to be meaningful, but we want to know, like, have you not had opportunities like this in the past? Are you working in a specific area of discipline that doesn't have a lot of mentorship opportunities, or maybe isn't as valued in the West, or in New York, or in the commercial field? Let us know, like, why is this going to help you grow as a dance artist, and how will it help you? That's what we want to know. Okay, a few tips. Again, make sure that you are eligible. When you write your statements, we're not looking for flowery PhD type of language. We're looking for clear, concise statements from your heart, from, that make sense to you. And then, let us know who you are, what you're doing, and what you're going to accomplish with this. So again, it's more important to be thoughtful and real than to use a lot of complicated jargon. Especially if you are working, like I said, in a discipline that people may not have a lot of familiarity with, please explain that so that you can be evaluated on your own merits and what you are bringing. So the whole application, again, as I had stated before, make sure everything aligns, like what you want to propose, where you are, and the kind of work that you've done in the past, so that the panelists, the selection committee, can really see the trajectory and how this is the natural step in catapulting you to the next step in your career. So again, just a very consistent and thoughtful application. And the work sample is very important. I know that not everybody has access to a professional film crew. That's okay, but just make sure that your samples clearly reflect your vision, your skills, that people can identify who you are in the videos. So that's helpful. Listen to it, have somebody else watch it or listen to it, make sure that the sound isn't overwhelming. If sound is an important part of your work, that's fine. But just make sure that people can concentrate on and focus on your work and your professional style. Okay. Okay, the timeline. So as I stated, the submissions will close at 11:59 on March 20th, Monday. Don't wait until the last minute. Feel free to reach out to us with questions before this session. It's being recorded, so you can watch it later, go back to it, or you can email us for clarification. After the submissions close, we will convene our panel. We will make sure that we'll go through all of the applications to make sure that everything is there, that people are eligible, that there's access to all of the information. And then we will package those applications and send them out to our panel. We'll convene the panel who will have sufficient time to review all of the applications, and then we'll come together and they will make a decision. Once that has been made, we will notify the fellow, and then we will notify the people who were not selected, and then we will make a public announcement of the award on May 15th. So the fellowship will officially begin on May 15th. Next. So any additional questions, you can email us. Please put Jadin Wong question in your subject line, or you can ask your questions right now. So that's it. Does anyone have any questions? And if you don't want to ask them, you can ask them, you can come off mute and ask your questions. You can type them in the chat, whatever you feel comfortable with. You're welcome, Jacob.
Hey, Lisa, Gori here. Can you hear me?
Yes, Gori, I can hear you.
Okay, perfect. First of all, thank you so much for hosting this info session and for clarifying all the elements of the application. There are a lot of elements, so it was helpful to get that clarification from you. I did have a couple questions. For the work samples, does the recency matter? Like, does it have to be in the last 5 years or the last 10 years?
Yes, we would like the
Ideally,
last 4 years.
oh, last 4 years. So apologies if you mentioned that
That's
already.
okay. It's all right.
Okay, cool. And for the recommendation, you mentioned that you would want someone who is familiar with the work. Does it matter if it's like a professor or an older like mentor that you worked with who's like knows your style of choreography, knows your style of dance? Is there any sort of preference? Do the judges panel, like, do they look for someone specific?
No, they want somebody who can really speak to you as a dancer and where you are in your career and how you would benefit from the fellowship. So it's really somebody who knows you, your work, your style, and thinks you would make a good candidate for this fellowship.
Okay, got it. And would you want for them to explain their credentials somewhere?
Very briefly. I mean, they can just say like if they're a professor or they're an instructor or whatever. That's fine. They don't need a whole long paragraph.
Okay, cool. I think those are my questions. I'll email you if anything else comes up. Thank
Great.
you.
Okay.
Anyone else?
Hi, Nick.
Oh.
Hi, Nikeo here.
Nikeo.
So hi. I have a couple of questions. So my first one is for the work sample. If it is clips of a larger work, is it okay if it's smaller clips compiled into 1 4-minute video, or is that not recommended to do? Is it better to have 4 straight minutes of content?
I think you have to decide like what is going to show off your work in the best way. I think people are really looking probably for a sense of complete work. But if you feel that, clips are really going to show it better, especially the choreography, then you're welcome to do that. But I think traditionally people have looked for like a solid clip of, a fully realized work.
Okay, cool. Thank you. And then my second question is about selecting a mentor, which I know is later down the line. Is there any requirements on where that mentor is located? Like, does the mentor have to be in New York City? Could that mentor be anywhere in the world? Or
Yeah, I mean, the mentor can be. We
okay.
in the past, I have to say that we have primarily worked with mentor. Actually, that's not true. I was just thinking about our recent Van Leer fellow who was in Hawaii. So yeah, we're
Mhm.
pretty open to that. I mean, Zoom makes it flexible, you know, but I have to be honest with you, like it really helps to have that in-person connection, that local connection.
Mhm.
It's like people say, when you go to grad school, go where you want to work, because that's the community that you'll be working in, and those are the contacts that you make. So, you know,
Right.
just think about that as well. We are flexible, you know, but think about where are you going to continue to work, and how is this mentorship going to help you get into that milieu?
Mm. Yeah, that makes sense. Thank you.
Mhm.
I was just going to also mention that we're recording this session, and I noticed a few folks who joined a little bit later. We're going to be uploading this recording to our YouTube channel sometime in the next day or so. And so you can just check back if you want to watch the entire info session. Any other questions?
Well, great. Okay, great. Well, feel free to email us. Like I said, you have our information. It's on our website, and we look forward to seeing your proposals.